In 2006, what Pastor Ted did in the darkness, literally, would come to light in front of the entire world.
That Reverend Haggard paid him for sex about once a month for 3 years, as well as for methamphetamines, which he says Reverend Haggard snorted before their sexual encounters.
Disclaimer.
It was this concept of a free market approach to religion that established Ted as a truly forward-thinking pastor. His reputation provided the leverage for Ted to secure a position as the president of the National Association of Evangelicals, or the NAE. The NAE is an association of 45,000 churches and 30 million believers and is one of the United States' most powerful religious lobbying groups. Life as Ted Haggard was enviable. He commanded an audience of thousands every Sunday, had a beautiful wife and children, some of whom were following his footsteps into the ministry, and he was regularly receiving 5- and 6-figure sums to deliver guest sermons at other congregations. It seemed there was no stopping Ted, and in 2005, he was named by Time magazine as one of the 25 most influential evangelicals in America.
It's like the basic recipe of a charlatan, right?
Okay.
They have this grand backstory. I read that in 1984, he had a vision or a calling from God that told him to start his own church. The video said he was an associate pastor, right? So he knew the system well enough.
He went to the best Oral Roberts University.
A theological university.
Oral Roberts is one of the biggest, Christian university that has brought about the biggest names.
There it is already.
Miles Monroe attended Oral Roberts.
Wow.
Amongst many other names.
You see, the creme de la creme came
He
from there.
went to the creme de la creme of Christian universities.
Good. Good background, convincing backstory. He gets what he wants. And then with that obviously comes the power, bro, because how are you going to say one thing and then turn around and do exactly the opposite of what you just said, bro?
Power corrupts, bro.
Do you think it was just power?
I don't know. I've had this question. Let's say a person claims to be, person had a good run, because we don't know how he managed to build all this, because it's easy. If you have great knowledge of leading people, corporate knowledge, because I think he was in corporate at one point, his background story, he worked in, until, of course, he decided, you know what, let me go Roberts University, whatever. He was working, he was a qualified individual, so he had knowledge on how to build things, right? I even lost my train of thought. But don't you think, as a result of his background, that helped him to somehow build this? And it's not really, we can't really credit it to some form of spiritual.
No, I don't think we can, bro. He is a smart individual, like you said, right? If he worked in corporate, he knows how to scale things up, right? He knows how to start at a granular level and scale up.
Yes.
He began with 22 and he had 14,000 at some point.
Yes.
That's, bro, kudos. That's great.
And you just have to know the right things to say.
Yeah, bro.
I think in this whole thing, you just have to know how to say the right things.
Say the right things. He's got the right connections. Marketing. For sure, there had to be some financial vehicle behind this.
Of course. I think he had money.
Yeah, of course, bro. If you do that, boom.
And he was successful.
Perfect recipe.
Yeah, perfect recipe.
Great.
You're an individual people can imitate. You have a family. Right?
You're the model pastor material.
Exactly. Because I think he was chasing after his wife for the longest, and until she gave in, I think because of some spiritual reasons.
How long was he chasing her for? They don't say.
No, I think they say. I just don't know exactly.
Jeez.
But yeah, he chased her for the longest. Some spiritual thing. She said yes. Then.
And the soon-to-be journalist sped off to his new university. Ted would later tell GQ magazine it was at ORU where he was taught he could pray through any issues instead of getting real help. One morning, during his first semester at ORU, Ted poured himself a bowl of Cheerios, and while eating breakfast, Ted claimed he was visited by what Christians call the Holy Spirit. This spirit wasn't craving a bowl of Cheerios, but instead brought a message for Ted. Ted claimed the spirit called him to be a pastor. This was around the same time he met a young woman named Gail Alcorn, a fellow student at ORU. Ted was immediately attracted to Gail, but it wasn't a shared attraction, as Gail had a crush on a boy named Paul Osteen, the older brother of Joel Osteen, who also attended ORU at the time. While still on the hunt to expose Oral Roberts, Ted attempted to get closer to Gail, and in doing so, he would confess at a later date, quote, "I fully intended to expose Oral Roberts in order to advance my career, but Roberts got to me rather than me getting to him," end quote. Ted admitted he became suspicious of Oral Roberts' intentions with Gail, at one point being fully convinced the man was sleeping with her. "I was so heartbroken," Ted said. But Oral Roberts wasn't sleeping with Gail, and Ted never got to see his big break in journalism happen.
As a leader, I think he had the qualifications. He has everything everyone needed. So he had the wife. Mm-hmm. Of course, people can listen to you.
Yeah, bro. You can't be a pastor if you don't have a wife.
You have a beautiful family.
Period.
Do you think this had been going on for the longest, or do you think it started only when he got caught? I always ask this question.
I think it was brought to light when he had a bigger stage to perform on. Because a lot of things you can sweep under the carpet
For the longest?
Yeah, bro, for a long time. You can be completely anonymous. You can fly way under the radar if you're not a public figure.
Exactly.
He could have been doing math back when he was in university. You don't know that because he wasn't on that platform. Now, when he's on this platform, and I think we've spoken about this at length, right? You show your true colors, right? When you're in a position whereby you're not really answerable to anyone. You know, a lot of times we restrict and hold back and we behave, for lack of a better phrase, because we are answerable to people above us, right?
Yes.
Now, if you get to a level whereby, no, not really, you're not really answerable to anyone, boom, then your fangs come out, right? It's something that you could have been suppressing for a long time.
Yes.
And maybe the power was just that little bit of a push that you needed to actually take it out and air out your dirty laundry.
That's true.
Of course, if let's say he wasn't like this and it's the power that led him there, because I can vouch for your point, bro. Power can corrupt.
Power corrupts at
For sure. You know, like I never used to like certain things, and now that I've got power, oh wow, look, I'm now into these kind of things, right?
I feel power amplifies.
Yes.
And it corrupts. People say, oh no, yes, amplify your character. Sometimes it doesn't actually amplify people's character. It just corrupts them.
Completely.
You might not have had that desire, but because of power, and you introduce into a new environment, which somehow gives you access to things you didn't have, all of a sudden you have new things. Because I think, I don't know who said this exactly, but says it takes about 7 years for a person's psyche to change completely.
7 years.
7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so you might be dealing with me right now and my mentality. I mean, it's the same thing we're just talking about. Your perspective on certain things today
exactly
won't be your perspective within 5 years.
Nah, they won't.
Because there are certain things you experience that have somehow changed your perspective.
And they've taught you, right? You've become wiser. There's some things you can reject outright. There's some things that you can think about even differently.
Exactly.
Now, in Ted Haggard's case, because I think we can both agree that, well, the methamphetamine, the prostitution was, obviously a bad thing. How do you think, or do you think actually that a lot of people in his position, right, that haven't been caught, let's say, are basically living double lives?
Oh, a lot. A lot of people live double lives, Chris. Because, like you said, you are not accountable to anyone and you are invincible. Not only that, I think there's a certain point you get to, you feel like you figured things out. There's no one to guilt trip you. There's no one to tell you, oh no, there's going to be hell. It's like, well, I'm a pastor and I've got knowledge enough to justify why there is no hell. I've got the reason to justify why there won't be repercussions for what I'm doing because I've got all the knowledge.
So knowledge corrupts.
Knowledge corrupts, bro.
Because knowledge is power, therefore knowledge corrupts.
Yeah, no, bro. Knowledge is actually power, but remember, knowledge is actually potential power.
Okay, it's not fulfilled power.
It's not fulfilled power. Okay. We have that knowledge, we have kinetic energy, which is...
But then there's potential energy before that.
There's potential energy, yeah. So knowledge is literally potential power. And knowledge in action is power. So, knowledge corrupts. Knowledge is equal to power.
Yeah.
I think everything else around us has actually proven that.
True. But what about people who would say power is power? Because on this show, like Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Somebody famously said, a character there said to the queen, my queen, knowledge is power, right? And the queen wasn't the smartest. Like that, the person that was saying that, if you watch Game of Thrones, he's a very cunning character. Very, very cunning character. Like people wonder how he survived for as long as he did. Because the thing of that show is all your favorite characters die. Like, it's so sad. But anyway, he survived long because he's very, very cunning. He said to the queen, knowledge is power, right? And then the queen smirked at him. And then she had guards like around, like, you know, because she's the queen.
Yeah.
So then she was just like, seize him. And then the guard seized him. And then and then she's like, cut his throat. They took out their knife, they pulled his head back, they about to cut his throat. And then she laughed, she's like, no, I'm sorry. I meant it as a joke. Withdraw your weapon. The guards withdraw their weapons, like, let him go. And then she told him, like, you guys can leave, right? Like, turn and leave us. And then now he's scared. And then she's like, power is power, right? What would you say to that? Because clearly then she's not the smartest person, but she is in power. And she demonstrated that you can be as cunning as you want, but I could kill you whenever I feel like it.
Oh no, but she exercised knowledge as well.
Good point. She did.
She just exercised knowledge.
The knowledge that she has.
Exactly.
But of course. Knowledge is power, man.
Knowledge is power. She just exercised knowledge.
So she showed him, like, I know as well that I have power. Like, this is knowledge.
Yes, this is knowledge, and I'm going to put my knowledge
to use.
Yes, to demonstrate what you don't know.
Exactly. Wow.
So, bro, at the end of the day, I think, so him having all that knowledge, and because remember, he's the head. So somehow and somewhere, he has all the knowledge. Because the mere fact that he has built all this meant he's got the knowledge to build all that.
Clearly.
So yes, I think when you get to that point, you actually become blinded to a lot of things.
Ted's other teachings were much more conventional and devout for Christianity. He held firm views on homosexuality and sex outside of marriage and pregnancy. These views were already solidly established in his early teen years when he took up a position as co-editor of his high school newspaper. In this role, he regularly published articles defaming those who didn't abide by his strictly religious principles. But that was nothing compared to what he would do once his whole philosophy in preaching was to fight against what he called the evil forces of homosexuality. Ted fanatically told his followers they were soldiers in a religious war and encouraged his congregants to physically barricade businesses that sold services he didn't approve of. Businesses like massage parlors and liquor stores. As pastor of New Life Church and head of the NAE, Ted preached for what he believed was the sanctity of marriage as union between a man and a woman.
I think I've always said this. Power is ignorant, and ignorance is power. There's a certain level in a power position where you become ignorant.
True. And unfortunately, ignorant to morality.
Yes.
A lot of times, huh?
Yeah, you become ignorant because to that extent, you can actually create your own reality.
Exactly. You're the master of morality, bro. Morality is at that level relative. Who's to say this is wrong? I'm in charge.
Exactly.
I say it's right.
Yeah, it's right. As I can do whatever I want to do. And the person he had the whole sexual experience was not the only one. He was having also with another person in church as well.
You know, there's a timeline around this guy, because when I was reading about him, in 2006 is when he was exposed. He was disgraced. He left the church, or he was forced to step down. He went elsewhere, built another church. Hey, look at that. So he's got the power, he's got the resources, he's got the knowledge. Clearly, it's child's play for him. Built another church, and this is the demonstration of his power and knowledge. He knew that he couldn't get away with the same angle of outright speaking out against homosexuality. So you know what he did in this new church of his? He said anybody's welcome. Gay, lesbian, bisexual people included. Only 4 years after he was caught with that, right? From that the whole scandal. Mm-hmm. He pulled the wool over everybody's eyes and made himself seem like I'm a fellow transgressor like the rest of you. We aren't perfect, and therefore we will be united. Some people fell for it, others saw through the ploy quickly, but even in that new congregation that he built, the same things
he started doing the same thing.
He started molesting people again. He was basically charged because there's 3 people, right? Because in 2019, right, is when reports came out again, and one of the people he molested was a minor at the time.
A minor? A minor?
Yes.
There we have it. That's why, bro.
Which begs the question then, if you fall from grace, right, you've been demoted or whatever, you lose your job, whatever it is, and you're forced to be humble, right? How long does that humility really last?
Your humility is not humility. I don't think it's genuine humility. Personally, I feel in that position, if a person becomes and claims to be humble, it's not genuine humility. It's just humility as a result of them getting fired.
That's it.
Or falling from grace. It's
situational
not
humility.
Yeah, situational humility.
When you get back to where you're supposed to be, your true colors come out.
Exactly,
again.
they always come out.
There it is.
And it begs the question, does a person really change? Or a person just adjust?
People adjust to the situation, bro.
Exactly.
I think you can change up to a certain age. I believe that after a certain age, all you're doing is adjusting, bro. You're adjusting to the situation.
Yes, and majority of people, all they do is just play a certain script.
Yeah, we wear masks, bro.
And they just need a certain circumstance or a certain situation to unravel this particular mask. And in his case, moved from one church. Who says he didn't do it before? He did it before. He just got caught on the second part where he built a mega church. Now, fell from grace there. He went on to another church.
He founded another church.
You see,
he's done it before, bro. Of course he could do it again.
Repeated the same thing.
That's it.
Repeated the same thing. And I think this is where it gets to...
One would think a conservative pastor who preached about hope for a life without scandals and secrets wouldn't regularly visit a male masseuse in the middle of the night and use illegal substances. But Pastor Ted Haggard was breaking bad. On the morning of November 2nd, 2006, Ted Haggard was sitting on his son's bed with his wife when he received a text message on his phone. It was from a friend of the couple who was letting him know a gay escort in Denver was going public with allegations against a prominent evangelical pastor. The man hadn't identified who his allegation was against, but he was going to reveal their identity on a radio station the following morning. Gail read the message the same time as Ted and asked him if he had anything to do with it. Ted reassured her in no uncertain terms that it was definitely not him, but Gail had every reason to be concerned, as in the early stage of their relationship, Ted revealed to her his homosexual thoughts. But Ted reassured Gail he was indeed a heterosexual man and it was just the devil tempting him. And Gail believed him. Confident in Ted's reassurances, the couple tuned in together to listen as the interview was aired on a local station the following morning. In the broadcast, Mike Jones, who was a sex worker and masseuse, declared Pastor Ted Haggard had been paying him for sex for 3 years. But it wasn't just that. Mike Jones claimed Ted also bought and used crystal during each and every one of their encounters. Mike told the interviewers he came forward after learning of Ted's identity as an evangelical pastor who spent considerable time at the pulpit preaching anti-homosexual sentiments.
It's shocking, bruv, how, because I read an article about him as well, bro. Bruv, he was soliciting sex from a prostitute, right? Same man, right, who's a pastor, by the way.
Yeah.
Same guy who, in the beginning of the video, was speaking out against homosexuals.
Yes.
That prostitute was a gay man.
Yes.
And he, within 3 years, they said he called him multiple times.
Multiple times.
So they were having an affair for the longest time.
Yes.
And he was taking drugs, and not just any drug. It's not like he was smoking a joint or anything, bro. Methamphetamines, bro.
Yes.
Woo!
It's not just marijuana. It's not ganja.
It's not dacha, bro.
This is not ganja.
Meth.
This is drugs, heavy.
Dude.
He was a drug addict.
Bro, if you ever do meth, I don't know you. If you smoke a joint, I'll understand. But meth, hey man, I don't know you, bro.
Does meth make people sell things?
Bro, it's extremely addictive, bruv. Yes.
More than cocaine?
Hey, bruv. Yes, bro. It's terrible. It's terrible stuff. You lose your teeth, bro. You don't, bro. There's a bunch of things that goes on.
How enough he never lost his teeth, though.
Hey, I don't know, man. I don't know how that happened for him.
But maybe he had money.
Dental surgery? I don't know.
Yes, you never know.
Maybe he's not a fiend, but still, that doesn't excuse the point that this is somebody who people looked up to.
There's one thing, bro. I think people, there's so much, deceit in numbers. Like there's so much deceit in numbers, and there's so much deceit in the noise. When things are just too much, and this person is, no, I think that's where you take.
Yeah, you should. You should really take a step back, because if there's so many voices around this person, you might just be confused into thinking those voices are his voice. And what he's really saying, it gets drowned out in the crowd. You just hear the crowd, you hear in the crowd is obviously praising this person. What he's really saying is irrelevant. The crowd speaks for him now.
Exactly. And majority of these groups tend to be like that. And there's one thing I see. Most of the time, people in power tend to project. You get to a point where instead of you don't search knowledge anymore. I think you get to that point when, you remember, power is ignorant. You get to that point where you're no longer searching for knowledge. What you do is project. I think, bro, we've seen it over and over again. If you look at through history, bro, every leader, they get to a certain point, they are no longer searching, because remember, they're the Alpha and Omega. They begin to project.
That's true.
You begin to project your insecurities. You begin to project your shortcomings. In his case, anti-gay rights.
Projecting it, but what a contradiction.
That's what I'm saying. You begin to project it because you hate yourself that much.
Exactly. Now you're trying to make it part of other people.
Exactly. You hate yourself so much. Self-loathing.
There it is. A lot of these people, influential people, could actually be self-loathing then.
A lot, bro, a lot. A lot.
Oh, man. So who do we look up to?
Cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance.
Exactly. Two ideas fighting against each other. They're going to war with each other. Because remember, he's opening scripture and scripture is saying something else. And he's saying something. So two ideas in conflict.
Clashing. Yeah.
Yes. He hates himself. What does he do? Project it now.
It's terrible. It's a catch-22, isn't it? Because he wants to act out his, obviously, homosexual tendencies.
Exactly.
But then he's in a position where he needs to speak out about it. And in him speaking out about it, it drives the urge for him to go and
Exactly. Do you get
again.
it?
Wow.
Because remember, he can't come out and justify what the scripture says.
No. How?
No.
How will he?
So what he has to do is go against it and fight and all this, condemning people in different communities, condemning the LGBT community, saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. That time, it's like, dude, but you are not free yourself.
No, you aren't.
You are literally not free. And not only that, he put his wife through the most, bro.
Bro, I can only imagine.
He embarrassed the wife.
Well, she started the second congregation with him. Do you know?
She has no choice.
Oh, yeah. It's what we spoke about back there, isn't it?
Yeah, she has no choice.
She doesn't have a choice.
She has to do.
She has to.
I don't know what to say. But all I have to say is, Chris.
No.
I don't know what to say. I actually don't know what to say. I think you just be careful. For the most part, things like this make you fear a lot in this life.
They do, but at the same time, this is where I think the motto, the summary of this thing would be knowledge is power, and that goes in both ways. In case of the perpetrator, knowledge is power. And in case of the potential victim, which might be us, knowledge is power. You know, discernment is such a beautiful thing, bro.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Running with the crowd, bruv,
true.
has never really been my thing. And I'm so blessed and thankful that it isn't, because it saved me from quite a lot, hasn't it? So now, in the time where we encourage individual thinking, where we encourage, you're an individual, you've got as many rights and freedoms as you have, and one of those is information. You're just as powerful as the perpetrator.
That's very true.
You're just as powerful. Claim your power.
That's very true.
Get the knowledge. We're not saying be skeptical about everyone, but discern first. You're just as powerful. Never ever forget that. Your power has been given to you. You have all this information. You've got all these resources. Make use of them. If you still decide to go afterwards, that's your choice. It's fine. Nobody can judge you for it. You went there at least knowing, right?
True.
As opposed to following blindly, sheepishly.
Majority of people follow blindly. You know that. I mean, we've spoken about this.
We know.
All the time. Majority of people will follow you through a cliff. You don't even know it's a cliff and you just fall.
Oh, let's build bridges so we can get between those cliffs.
Yeah. But why are you at the cliff?
Who knows? There might be greener pastures and the other, because maybe I'm always seeing like two cliffs. There's one cliff, there's a valley, like a whole valley, and then there's another mountain that's beginning there. You can either fall off the cliff or you can build a bridge and go see that other end.
Well, you can only do that with knowledge. So guys, that's it from us. Yeah, that's it from us. This was a very interesting one, bro.
Definitely.
So, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Let you guys tell us what you think.
Let you guys tell us what you think. Because personally, I actually don't know what to say. I think I've said already enough.
No, we've said our part. And now we just leave it up to you. Be wise out there, kids.
Yes, guys.
A lot of dodgy characters out there.
Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. And I guess we'll be seeing you on the next one. Ciao.